really always the lens through which, journalists should be, should use their editorial lens, in making judgment. So, and the journalists, are trained only through the experience they learn, that editorial judgment is very much about, making those decisions, making those calls. And there is no journalist that I know who is really professional, who doesn't really take into account that what they cover has got consequences, and those consequences could be consequences on people's lives, it could be consequences for national security, and professional journalism is really very much about making those calls. But and the public interest is not in contradiction with concerns about national security, and that is why I think this whole idea that we call it gatekeeping in journalism is so important, and it's really what distinguishes. A citizen journalist is what distinguishes what Derek calls a media practitioner, someone who has got a media platform, who has got a phone, who has got a laptop, and they can gather information and put it out. Gatekeeping is really very much about that there is a process that filters information. So as a journalist, as a newsroom, as an organized a media institution, you develop sources that have credibility, and these sources are in business, are in the security institutions, and because that is really ultimately what journalism is about, that you rely on your sources to help you gain the important perspective that you need to be able to make that editorial judgment. And editorial judgment is not, it is something that you build, with experience, with exposure, with lifelong learning as a journalist. You get to understand, how important it really is to filter your information. Because you also understand that there's no journalism if the security, national security is under threat. How are you going to be able to practice your journalism? How are you going to be able, to thrive, in the social context where all other professions, all other occupations, all other aspects of livelihood, need a secure and stable, national environment in which we are. So journalists actually do understand, and they make those judgments again because they have access to sources. On a typical day, your job as a journalist is to cultivate, credible sources that you can go. And by the way, journalists have a lot of sources that they don't even use, that sources that they rely on in the background to help them, filter information, distill information that ultimately ends up in what they publish on broadcast. But ultimately, I think for me it goes back to the conversation that happened in the newsroom about what is really the public interest. And that public interest is very, very important. That the journalists, the leadership, really, news leadership, is very, very much about making those very critical decisions to be able to separate and to understand really the consequences of everything.
Thank you, moderator. I will beg that I speak to that and I give my parting shot. Please allow me to give you, because I assure you, please. Okay, so Dorothy, thank you for keeping the bar, including when I talk about the bar, including the new radical bar. Radical new bar. The radical new bar, yes. Right? In this context, I'm speaking about the bar for journalism. What we learned from Dorothy is that journalism is a noble profession. It's a noble profession. And it is like if I was to relate it to religion, if you are a Muslim or a Christian, it's like you are the reverend, you are the priest, you are the pastor of public interest, you are the imam of public interest. So to the young people out there, the satisfaction of journalism comes from you doing a story that really gets that to help the public. So journalism is a noble profession. I want to ask young people out there, upcoming professionals, not to go away. Because what I have learned in my 25 years of experience is that there is no profession that does not have challenges. Even where I run to, you will find challenges. In my other work, I manage footballers. They want to run from one club to another, but the issues they run out from one club will find at the other club. So it is normally better to stay home and solve the issues that at home than trying to run away. So young people out there, journalism is a noble profession, and for the foot soldiers, journalism in practice, editors, everybody, is always do your best. Thank you very much.
Value source who defend it. And we must never normalize the fear under which many journalists operate. A journalist should carry a notebook, not anxiety about whether telling the truth will come at his personal costs. And the real story of Dorothy Dorin Nurmazi, I think, is maybe that she continued what I had reporting when maybe others would have chosen the silence. And this, I think, is an empathy I saw in you, and I saw also in your husband, that journalism needs to be driven very much by this kind of empathy. And you wonder where this comes from. Is it empathy? Because you don't know all these people you're reporting. They're not your friends, they're people, human beings. But the question is now how you wake up every morning and getting this empathy to go out, while you're still knowing that everything may be, I mean, you're not only reporting on elections, you're also reporting on other issues, isn't it? So this is something which I really admire, and to understand how people can wake up, go outside in the field and report on business, mixing themselves into business, which are not theirs, but reporting it. So very much courage, very much welcome on this. Now let me take this now in a bigger context. We have all experienced somehow what we call COVID, isn't it? COVID was a game changer. And it gave us a very, very clear example how history teaches us something important. Societies rarely lose freedom all at once. Freedom disappears quietly. First, when people become afraid to ask questions. And later, when they become afraid to speak at all. So you know, when we had COVID, I was asking a lot of questions. And I lost a lot of friends because they didn't like the questions. No, and we all knew that under COVID we had a restriction of our civic rights. So this is a quite interesting thing how it works today. And let me bring this now into an African context. Now Africa, for me, first point, Africa is entering a new information battlefield. Now what does it mean? Africa is entering a new information battlefield, meaning the contemporary geopolitical environment is shaped by disinformation campaigns, digital surveillance, i.e. generated propaganda, foreign influence operations, algorithmic manipulations, and polarized political communications. So Africa is increasingly exposed to competition between Western powers, China, Russia, Gulf states, and global tech corporations. In this context, independent journalism becomes part of an Australian and UK guy, me as German, and a US lady. And then suddenly the COP came in our house and said, please guys, don't talk about politics. So what? So what? Don't talk about politics. I mean, maybe he was, let's say, from the terminology of Uwais Ali, he was probably right, we should not fight about politics, but what else? I mean, about food, about, anyways, you see, I fully understand you, everything. is somehow politics, isn't it? So I want to make you an offer today because I really like this event very much. I'm flying home probably soon, and I will talk to a big German media house. Maybe they can also look if they can open an academy of journalism here or a school of journalism and investing in this kind of profession. So let me try this. I have been working for the newspapers as a lawyer in Hamburg, and we have very big media houses there. Maybe they would be really interested to say, okay, let's bring some professionalism and open an academy of journalism in Uganda. Let's see. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, moderator. I will beg that I speak to that and I give my parting shot. Please allow me to give you, because you know
I assure you, please.
Okay, so Dorothy, thank you for keeping the bar, including, when I talk about the bar, including the new radical bar.
Radical new bar.
The radical new bar, right? In this context, I'm speaking about the bar for journalism. What we learned from Dorothy is that journalism is a noble profession. It's a noble profession. And it is like if I was to relate it to religion, if you are a Muslim or a Christian, it's like you are the reverend, you are the priest, you are the pastor of public interest, you are the imam of public interest. So, to the young people out there, the satisfaction of journalism comes from you doing a story that really gets that to help the public. So journalism is a noble profession.